Here we go. Tuesday show. We're dropping the first ever certified with a capital C or S, depending on where you're from, preseason top 25 poll.
It is certified.
And it's the right one. It's the right one. And we're going to get into it. Excited about that. Got a ton of stuff to cover. Excited to get Brandon Marcello on here as well. But Alex Collins, former Arkansas running back, passed away last night, man.
Motorcycle crash.
Really?
Golly, what's going on in Arkansas? They've lost Deion Stutz.
Ryan Mallett.
I think Cam Smith, Ryan Mallett, almost lost Peyton Hillis all this year.
Man.
Motorcycles, man, scary.
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 I've never had the inkling to want to get one. I get it. I know it's obviously a legitimate thing. There's been a ton of motorcycles sold. But, I've just never wanted to buy one.
Who was the other running back that was in that backfield with Alex Collins? It was two of them. It was another one that was
See,
so
if you
good.
wouldn't ask me, I would have.
Obviously,
it's not Derek Fadden, Peyton Hillis, and
no, Chad. Who's the other running back?
Alex Collins and
there's another one. I'll think of it.
We'll think about it. Georgia takes the #1 spot in the AP's top 25 poll. Outside of that, it's an absolute trash can. Ex-NFL player Michael Oher claims his story featured on The Blind Side blindsided him. And Brandon Marcello stops by to talk college football and everything else. I'm Jake Crain. It's Tuesday. Hit that subscribe button, everybody. We're almost to 100K. And this is Crain & Company. Is it possible for a top 5 ranked team in the preseason to actually be disrespected? As crazy as it sounds, yes, it is. And after seeing the pointless preseason polls, the AP and the coaches rank LSU behind Bama, a team they beat last year, and Ohio State, a team with a lot of talent, but also some big questions, one must ask, why are they ranked behind them? Now, the answer to being ranked behind Alabama, to me, is pretty simple. Brian Kelly isn't Nick Saban, and most people will fall back to the Saban revenge factor, and I get it, but while LSU returns their quarterback, most of their offensive line that has pro prospects all over it, including at both tackle spots, their 2 leading touchdown catchers, a stable of running backs, a legitimate tight end room with an offense that averaged over 450 yards and 35 points a game, I can understand how playing Bama on the road could possibly lead to them being placed right behind them in the rankings, even though I think that's wrong. There is a legitimate argument to be made for that, though. But can't there even be a bigger argument that Bama is actually on shakier ground going into this year than they have been in quite some time? The quarterback room is a question mark. The battle continues. They're in the middle of an offensive transition back to a style that may take some time to reform their bully ball identity that built Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide up. Now, they have a defense that has great promise. Alabama's got great personnel, but you did just lose a generational player in Will Anderson Jr. I say yes, but at the end of the day, we can have a legitimate back and forth on Bama and LSU. We can do that. But the bigger question to me is, how in the hell did y'all rank LSU behind Ohio State? Now, the Buckeyes have been great for a while. Nobody is disputing that. But they just lost their star quarterback in C.J. Stroud, both their tackles and center to the NFL. I get they returned the Avengers at wide receiver, but before the first ball is snapped, they do have more questions than LSU from a roster standpoint. They haven't even been able to get out of their own division for the past 2 years, and honestly, it seems like it's about to be 3 years in a row with what Michigan has coming back, and Ohio State has to play the Wolverines in the Big House this year. This isn't an argument about if they will be good. We know they'll be good. But can you honestly look at both rosters for 2023 and just easily say Ohio State is obviously better? That's an argument I can't get behind yet. Now, Ryan Day has done a lot at Ohio State, but he isn't in the same GOAT talks as Nick Saban and Kirby Smart. To me, he's in the same tier as Brian Kelly, and BK's only been at his new home for 1 season. Now, could Ohio State end up being a better team than LSU? Maybe. But the blatant disrespect LSU is catching when it comes to a team that they beat last year with what they return and a team who has some pieces but not the whole puzzle is borderline casual behavior. How about we rank teams on what they have, not what they were? But then again, these polls really mean nothing. And that's why we play the games. So we here at Crain & Company, with all the scientists and mathematicians, have fixed the preseason top 25. And we're going to rank teams based on the ghosts of season present, not the ghosts of season past. Speaking about the ghost of season past, and my buddy David Cohn.
I'm not a ghost.
Past with two S's and not a T. It's a quarterback joke. My brother, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain, joining us as usual. And guys, listen, preseason polls, we took them out of the ranking criteria, right? So they really matter even less now than what they did. But I don't get it. The Alabama one, David, okay. Let's sit down, look each other in the eyes, and play a game, and let's be honest. You can sit here and we can have that talk. I think Nick Saban is the greatest college football coach of all time. I would be a lot less surprised, especially with Bama playing him at home, as I mentioned, talking about LSU. I'd be a lot less surprised if Bama ended up being better than LSU, than Ohio State. You played in the Big Ten. What say you?
Yeah, I would use a different word other than disrespect, probably. Maybe just wrong is a more accurate word when we're talking about the difference between 5 and 4, 5 and 3. Like if we saw LSU as a top 5 team in the country and they were ranked 14, that'd be disrespectful, which the AP had Utah at 14. So that is where I'm starting to think, man, that's a little bit disrespectful to Utah with all they returned, back-to-back champs out there in the Pac-12. But regardless, I do think that LSU needs to be ranked a little higher. We've identified as the SEC West as the toughest division in college football for how long now?
A while.
A decade plus, right? LSU's the reigning champion of that division, and they return their quarterback. Now, yes, of course, they do go on the road to Tuscaloosa, so we're going to find out plenty very quickly. And we don't have to wait that long with LSU because the Louisiana State, Florida State matchup is going to be one of the greatest openers that we've ever seen. My question to you is, what happens if LSU goes in that game and smokes them by 3 scores or something? What if that's a 21-point victory?
And that, to me, is going to be one of the hardest games to bet. Not just because it's early, but because you look at both of the rosters, Florida State and LSU, and I think you could talk about Florida State being disrespected.
You could ask the exact same question on the Florida State side. What about them being disrespected, and what happens if they beat LSU by 3 scores?
No,
what happens then? There's going to be all sorts of movement right off the bat.
No, for sure. And I think the reason I use disrespect, if this was a team that was kind of on the come up, that hasn't done the things that LSU has done, we know LSU program-wise can be as elite as there is out there with the resources they have, being the only state school. I feel like when we're parting, splitting hairs at the top for the elite, I do think you can find an avenue to call it disrespectful. Wrong is another way.
Here's why they did it. There's a trust factor. With Alabama, they want to be in the trust tree.
They do.
There's a trust factor. With Alabama and with the Buckeyes, even if you miss on them with new quarterbacks coming in and they have bad seasons, you still at least have to feel comfortable that they're going to win double-digit games, right? Like the Buckeyes have proven they can do that every single year, even slipping to Michigan the past 2 years and not making the college football playoff the year before, even though they did get in last year. But still, even in a year like that, when they lose to their rival, they still find a way to win 11 games. Alabama, the same thing. So I think that these guys making the rankings at the AP are saying, you know what, even if we miss on this, it's not as big of a risk as if we put, LSU in there, given some of the troubles they had during the Ed Orgeron eras, or typically Michigan, because when Michigan misses, they can have a bad season, even though we see them at number 2. And I know a lot of people are saying, hey, why is Michigan ranked so high when they haven't proven to be able to win on the largest stage, which I think is a fair criticism.
Blaine, let me ask you, do you think there's any bias and they didn't want to rank 3 SEC teams in the top 4 spots?
No, I don't think so. I mean...
All right, Blaine, thanks for your...
No. I don't. I think, one, God, I hate preseason polls to the maximum. I don't think these guys could care less if they miss or not. I think Utah at 14 is more disrespectful than anything. Top 7 teams, top 6 teams, it's a mixed bag. Like Alabama, I will never get into the business of betting against Alabama. Like there's certain things I learned from watching college football, Nick Saban in Alabama. I never think they could be ranked too high. I don't, because you never know what Nick Saban's going to do come into a year. I know they're replacing Bryce Young, questions at tackle. Their offense was basically everything Bryce Young in the running game was terrible. But I think you have a legit conversation why Michigan's not ranked number one.
I don't think that's a
what
crazy
Michigan's
take.
returning.
I don't think it's a crazy take.
We don't know what Carson Beck's going to be at Georgia. I know what Michigan's quarterback is going to be. I know what their offensive line is going to be. I know they have the best running back duo in the country and phenomenal receivers getting back. A couple questions on defense. They're always good in the front seven. I think Georgia missing Sequavius is going to be a huge deal because you don't know. You don't know about Carson Beck yet. So there's questions. I think the USC thing to me, I've kind of gone back and forth and starting to agree with you more. They are up too high. I feel like if anything, Utah should be a lot closer than what USC is.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it's sleeping on Bama to have switched it up and have LSU 3, Bama 4. I don't want to make people think I think Alabama's going to be bad. I do think there is a more of a possibility they could go 9-3 this year and miss that 16th straight year of double-digit wins. A bigger possibility than there's been in a long time, right? I feel like we can say that and still say the odds of it are pretty low, but the odds are higher than they have been in a while because there are a lot of questions. Ryan Day came out a couple days ago and said he wished somebody would have emerged at the quarterback spot by now for Ohio State, which tells me you are a little bit worried. I don't know why you would come out and say that to the media. I don't know how that helps you, but we're going to get into the AP Top 25 that got released, and then we're going to release ours. We're going to talk about it with Brandon Marcello, too.
One question.
Go ahead.
So if Michigan were ranked number 1 in this AP poll, both of you would be fine with that?
Yes.
I would be with. We're gonna release ours. Well, would you not be fine?
I mean, I want to see him there at the end of the season. I'm not going to pretend like I don't have bias.
Well, I want to give you credit here. I want to give you credit here because you have been very consistent, and I know you weigh who's returning for what team. Mm-hmm. But last year you said the same thing. You said to me, Georgia is the national champion, the number 1 team until they're not. And I do think it is kind of the exception to the rule when replacing quarterbacks with Carson Beck for a couple reasons. Mm-hmm. He's older, right? He does have some experience, and he is legitimately stepping into a Ferrari. He's just stepping into the best car you can possibly drive. And Georgia, to me, up front, is superior outside of Michigan. That's why I don't think it'd be crazy to put him number 1 up front, right? That's what we talk about all the time. It starts and ends up front. And Michigan, I mean, we talked to a very high-up scout at SEC Media Days that said they could potentially have 7 offensive linemen drafted off this team, and we know how good they've been on the defensive line.
Back-to-back Joe Moore Award winners, too.
So they're going to get it again.
I get it. And the reason I do that with the defending champion is because, talk about respect, I think that team has earned that respect. And sort of a protest is what I see in being sort of meaningless list at the beginning of the season, unless we're going to change the criteria like Tim Brando has done and say, here's what I see as my list of I'm projecting for the end of the season, which will be great. But as far as Michigan, and it's not just them, I'm talking about the same criticism you had for Southern Cal this past week. I'm talking about schools like Oklahoma, Texas, Notre Dame, all of them. They all of those schools are great blue blood college football programs, but unless you're going to win at the biggest stage and win national championships, then to me, it's very difficult, talking about that trust factor again, to put you at number 1 before the season started. And we talked about the same thing with Georgia before they got over the Alabama hump. Remember, everyone said before that SEC championship game in 2021, when we were all together with the J-Boy show, said, well, Georgia's going to win this one, and this is their time, this is their year. Well, I got to see something first. And then they went in and lost that game. Now they got revenge in the national championship, and now they're back-to-back national champions. But, to me, it's schools like Clemson have earned that right to say, hey, we've been on the biggest stage and gone toe-to-toe with these schools and won championships, right? Florida State's gotten them one. The Buckeyes have gotten them one in the past decade. So, to me, I just want to see Michigan go do that, and then we can start talking.
Do you think Clemson's ranked too low?
What are they in the AP?
We'll get it. We're going to get into it. We're going to pull the AP up here in 1 second. But make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're almost to 100K. If you like what you're hearing, also remember, if you donate in the chat, it does get read by our chat connoisseur, Blanye East. Speaking of that, Blanye, what's up over there?
Let's go to Chris E. with a $2 donation. Chris, thank you. Which preseason top 5 team falls outside first?
We're gonna break that down here in 1 second, Chris. We'll get to it. Do I want to jump into it right now?
There's a lot of questions about it. So
all right, let's go ahead and bring up the AP Top 25. Let's go in. This is not ours. Ours is coming soon.
Ew.
But you can see it if you're on audio right now. You can look it up. I'm going to go fast. 25-1. Iowa, Tulane, A&M, Ole Miss, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Oregon State, TCU, K-State. Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Oregon State, TCU, K-State, Oregon, Utah, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, Clemson, Florida State, Penn State, USC, Puke, LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia. Okay, I know I said that fast, but I don't want to sit here and disperse this the whole time.
Iowa cracking the top 25.
That's
hideous.
That just makes me want to laugh into my hands and outside in public. What the question was? Which top 5 team's going to fall out?
Outside first. Well, you got to say.
I gotta go Ohio State. I gotta go Ohio State.
I mean,
on this list here, which one of the top 25 would fall out?
Top 5.
Yeah, to fall out of the top 5.
Oh,
which top 5
you'd have to take LSU,
right? Because you have Florida State week.
It's just the hardest game earliest, right? Like I'm not saying I think they're going to lose that game, but the Buckeyes wouldn't get Notre Dame until what, week 6 or 7, something like that.
Well, I mean, could you make an argument for Bama week 2, Texas?
That one too.
Yeah,
that's fair too.
I mean, Michigan's not playing them. The Hamburglar's going to be there now for the first 4 games.
Y'all had me on Twitter last night, really trying to having to stand up for East Carolina. All right.
Hey, no one's out here ratting on East Carolina.
You're ragging on East Carolina.
No one's out here ratting on East Carolina.
No. I had nothing.
What did I say? What did I say?
You made.
Oh, okay.
You did.
Okay, I didn't say anything harsh.
After having to live through a loss opening day to Appalachian State, East Carolina went to Ann Arbor and won. I'd be the least surprised.
Look. Love watching East Carolina play physical on defense. Hey, their quarterback last year.
Don't try and
had some witch in him. I'm not out.
You want the lefty?
The lefty, the big Lorenzen.
He wasn't that good.
Some witch.
He wasn't that good.
I could get behind the Alabama at Texas week 2 though.
Yeah,
that one.
I think that those are the two. I feel like I'll give LSU the benefit of the doubt week 1. Bama's so hard to beat at home. That Ohio State Notre Dame game, man. It's going to be interesting. Notre Dame's schedule is like getting pistol whipped.
All right, let's go to Matty Ice, 1994, also known as Nighthawk. His name's Galco. Who's thrown for more yards this year, Michael Penix Jr. or Sam Hartman? You got to go Michael Penix
Jr. because DeBoer's going to throw it more. Marcus Freeman's a defense guy who wants to run it. Remember, if you donate, your check gets read.
The Sam Hartman, I think he's just going to have a phenomenal year. Let's go to Jessup Polk. What team from the outside the top 25 to start the year has the best chance to get into the top 10 at some point this year?
Outside of the
top 25.
Also, Michael Penix Jr. threw for 4,600 yards.
Yeah, it's a lot. I would say outside of the AP.
South Carolina. Was South Carolina in there?
South Carolina, I would say Texas Tech. To me.
Texas Tech?
I think it's Texas
I'll go
Tech.
South Carolina.
Okay.
I mean,
or actually
UTSA right there.
Too, Arkansas.
Yeah. I would say I would go, gun to my head, I would go Texas Tech. All right.
Let's Auburn.
We're not talking about that.
Huh?
We're just going to let that.
We're
going to let that work out. The way, speaking about working out, when you look in the mirror, do you see dark spots? If you do, guess what? They're not going away on their own. It's like the sun. You need help from Genucel's Dark Spot Corrector. Here just in time for summer. All right, the Dark Spot Corrector has not 1, but 3 cutting-edge ingredients. We use Genucel. The Booster Club sold out Genucel because it works. It's men and women skincare. It's safe, it's effective, and you'll be amazed at how quickly you'll see results. You can now enjoy the summer sun, beach, and barbecues without embarrassing spots. Look, you're not a Dalmatian.
No.
Okay? You don't want Cruella de Vil running around trying to scoop you up, keep you in poverty. And our friends over at Genucel, David, you use it every morning. That's why you got that alien skin.
I'm not a Dalmatian.
You're not.
Or an alien.
You're not.
Or a ghost.
Whatever. Or a ghost, that one. Yeah.
I didn't mean to call you all
Ghost,
this.
alien, Dalmatian, none of those things. All right? That's why I use Genucel.
That's right. So go to Genucel.com/booster. That's GENUCEL.com/booster right now. Get your dark spot corrector with the new Genucel most popular package and say goodbye to those pesky spots tomorrow. They're offering free shipping, free returns, and the best luxury skincare you've ever used, all at 70% off, which is basically more free than it's not. Do the math. All orders will also include a mystery luxury gift while supplies last. Yeah, you're just living in luxury right now. That's Genucel.com/booster. Use it today. You have skin in the game. God, I need to patent that. Okay. Ready for our AP Top 25? Or you got some...
Drum roll?
Are you hot over there?
I'm always hot over here.
You're hot?
Stay
Booster Club chopping their feet?
I'm getting them going.
All right, I like that. All right, let's put up the Crain & Company certified preseason top 25. Number 25.
Auburn, North Carolina. Oh,
stop. People are on audio.
My bad.
25, North Carolina. This is a collective list, okay? This is a true Drake May ranking, and you're in the ACC, okay? Because that South Carolina game, I'm taking the over right now. I know it's in Charlotte, which is a neutral site that's also in the state of North Carolina. I think you got to be Christopher Columbus to figure out it's not really that neutral. You agree with 25 here?
I was skeptical about putting North Carolina anywhere inside the top 25, but a few things. One, Mac Brown's won a national championship.
Yep.
Okay, the defensive coordinator, Gene Chizik, has won a national championship, and that kid, Drake May, is one of the greatest athletes I've seen playing quarterback in a long time. So I don't mind them at 25, and for the fact that we're going to find out very, very soon because they open South Carolina.
God, I cannot wait.
And this is a great opportunity. South Carolina, with a win there in week 1, could not only propel themselves in the top 25, but knock North Carolina out.
Yeah, Uncle Mo, the old 2-for-1.
Yep.
Michael Scott, win. All right, 24. UTSA.
They belong.
That's right.
I like it.
They belong.
I like it.
I mean, this team could legitimately go 11-1.
They won the conference back-to-back years.
I mean, you got Frank Harris at quarterback. Got a lot of witch in them. I know they lost. I believe they lost Cephas, their big-time wide receiver. But I love what Jeff Traylor's doing. Dana Holgerson doesn't figure out at Houston in 2 years. Jeff Traylor's going to get that job. Remember, I said that. But we were like the only poll that, and we have another group of 5 team in here. Mm-hmm. We're the only poll that had 2 group of 5s in it.
Okay.
That's right. Giving the little men a chance.
You're not an elitist.
No, I'm not. Yeah. So
is Tim on today?
Papa Roach. The Papa Roach song in here. All right, 23. Arkansas. KJ Jefferson.
Call him.
Rocket Sanders. Can we put some respect on Arkansas?
Lou Pig Suey.
You're not in either one of the polls. You're going to put Iowa in at 25?
Can't score.
They couldn't score with Jabba the Hutt.
What?
No, why you want to, but
I'm just saying.
Good. I don't want to see.
I mean, Iowa, I don't like. I'm sitting here supposed to trust Iowa. Like, I'd honestly put Arkansas in front of Ole Miss.
I would too, in a heartbeat.
Why not?
In a heartbeat?
Why not?
Like that.
Why not?
Why not?
Explain it to me.
Arkansas's defense.
Quinshon Judkins?
Yeah, Ole Miss's defense isn't exactly the steel curtain.
They're a little bit better.
They
than
lost their
Arkansas.
best DB too.
Yeah.
And Quinshon Judkins is really good.
He is good. He is. Because Rocket Sanders really good too. I would take KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders over Jackson Dart and Quinshon Judkins.
Is Jackson Dart going to start?
I think he is.
Okay.
I think he is. All right, 22. Tulane.
Beautiful.
But I got me a few on. Michael Pratt. Loving him at quarterback. I know they lost Ty J. I know they lost their best defensive player. But Tulane going to be the best team in their conference. That's 2 group of 5s. That's right. Let's go to 21. TCU. Not believing like everybody else. You lost a lot, including Max Duggan. Look, Chandler Morris, we'll see. Got to stay healthy. But, I mean, Darius Davis. You lost Quinshon. Or not Quinshon. Big wide receiver. It is Quinshon. I'm losing my mind.
Yeah. Quinshon Johnson.
Which I love the Chargers.
He caught a touchdown.
You lost Kendre, who's with the Saints right now. Got a little run the other night. Lost a decent amount on defense. I'm just not believing the TCU hype. I'm not believing TCU.
I think they'll have a good year, but I don't
too.
think they'll have 9 games they win by 1 possession.
No, they're not sneaking up on anybody this year, too.
Was that what it was? 9 games by 1 possession?
Yeah.
It was something crazy.
That's exactly
I think
right.
they lost to Kansas State by 1, too. When was
Let's
that?
get to 20. Yeah, just let Max Duggan keep the ball. Quarterback sneak it. Texas Tech.
I like it.
Joey McGuire. Guns up.
Oregon week 2.
I know. I said I still feel like Texas Tech wins that game. All right, let's go to the next one. Wisconsin. All right, that's 19, I believe. 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, Wisconsin. This team could legitimately go 10-2 and not be an elite team, but I love Tanner Mordecai, Braylon Allen.
Yeah, brother.
Those
really
things they have on the offensive line that they got like out of Siberia, out of caves, like we always talk about. Then defensively, look, it's a Luke Fickell coach team. It is Wisconsin. They're going to line up right.
Is Wisconsin one of the most interesting teams to watch this year?
They are. They're the Dos Equis.
So. Who would have thought? Who would have thought they said about Wisconsin?
Luke Fickell, Phil Longo, oil and water, but also they mix perfectly.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. 18, Kansas State. Lost a lot on defense.
They
50,
did.
I think 50%
That's what we were
production.
talking about.
Yeah.
Should they be higher? But you were talking about how much they lost on defense. So I don't think this is a disrespectful spot for them. And look, they could go win this conference back-to-back years. I think that'd be the first time for Kansas State.
Look, I'm a big Will Howard guy. I'm a big Kleiman guy. They got Ward, the running back transfer from Florida State that was all ACC honorable mention last year.
Mm-hmm.
Did lose a decent amount. I think they still got that little witch outside.
Yeah. That's one
Coach's
of their
kid.
white witches at receivers. Actually, Cameron is doing pretty well in the preseason. But Kansas State identity always travels to me.
It does.
Like, they're always
Physicality.
good each year. They always just have those guys who just play fundamental, especially on defense, man.
Yeah.
You lose Deuce Vaughn, I mean, the child, who's actually doing great for the Cowboys right now. So Kansas State, it's feels a little low to me, to be honest.
Really?
Feels a little low.
Really?
Yeah, I think you can put them up there.
Let's look at the
Ohio.
next one. 17. Oklahoma. I feel like Oklahoma and Wisconsin are kind of in a very similar boat here. Both could go 10-2 and not have elite teams when you look
Yes,
at the
very
schedule.
favorable schedules for both of them. That's why. Could you put Oklahoma higher based off that information?
You could, but I think when you see the teams in front of them, there's a legit argument to make. And Dylan Gabriel, the Archangel, he's got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
I do love what Venables has brought in on defense because we've said it multiple times. Oklahoma just didn't have to dues last year on defense. That's why they gave up, a ton of explosive plays, big plays. Not used to seeing that with Venables' defense. I believe in Venables. A lot of people don't, but I believe in him. All right, let's go to 16. Notre Dame. Tough schedule.
God, their schedule's so
Tough
hard,
schedule.
man.
Love Sam Hartman, right? I mean, I think they're going to be physical. Marcus Freeman, defensive mind. The Jerry Maguire video was kind of cringy, but I do believe in what he's preaching there. I know the guys really love playing for him. I think this is about right for Notre Dame.
Tough schedule means there's a lot of opportunities
There
to
is.
shock the world. A lot of opportunities to win big games.
Air and opportunity. That's all you can ask for.
Southern Cal, Clemson, Buckeyes.
Fun team to watch this year. I can't wait.
All right, next up. Oregon State.
So sell me on Oregon State here.
Okay. I think they have one of the most underrated, interesting quarterback battles going on between Sean Mannion, who's like 13th in NCAA history and like passing yards or something insane like that.
He transferred into?
No, he's been there.
Oh, he's been there.
Yeah, he's been there. So it's a battle between him and DJU, which I wouldn't be shocked if Mannion won the job, but DJU may figure it out. Oregon State's got a top 5 offensive line in the country. They returned a bunch of their playmakers on the outside. Offensively, they're going to be really good. The question is defensively. When you look where they finished last year, defense, I think they had the number 1 defense in the league, like a top 5 rush defense, somewhere around there. I know they lost a decent amount, but they do return some guys in spots. And I just love Jonathan Smith. I think he has totally cracked the code out there in Corvallis. I think when you look at the Pac-12, everybody's talking about Oregon, and they should. Everybody's talking about Washington and Michael Penix Jr. and Polk and all the guys they got. Everybody's talking about Utah, and they should. USC, and I get it. Oregon State still, it's like people are kind of having a hard time believing in them. I still think they got that chip on the shoulder underdog mentality. I like them. I like the Beavers. Damn.
4 of 5 returners on offensive line. You have one of the best running backs in your conference who won the freshman of the year last year. So it'll be, if DJU starts, I just don't feel good about it. I just don't feel good about
Mannion, it. I know he's a little turnover prone every now and then, but I mean, look at the way they came back and beat Oregon last year. They just lined up and were just like, we're going to be better than you up front. I love that. You don't typically see that in a Pac-12 team. All right, let's go to the next one. Tennessee. Got to know with Joe Milton, big hinge guy. The Tennessee fans, I know they're going to be pissed about this. And I get it. I understand. When we talk about hinge players, we said that Joe Milton, Drew Aller, and Tanner Mordecai for Wisconsin. Those are the 3 big ones because the teams are good enough around them that if they play well, Tennessee could legitimately give Georgia a run for their money at home in Neyland.
Yep.
So Tennessee's a lot of growth potential. Buy stock now. Joe Milton, we'll see. A lot hinging on that.
Oh, man. There's a lot of credit to Hendon Hooker for Tennessee being up here. Yeah, I mean, you got to think Tennessee lost a lot as well.
They did.
They lost Hendon.
I think they added
Jalen
some
Hyatt.
depth up front on defense, offensive line. I like what they have.
We'll see. You're making breaking on Joe Milton, baby. That's what
And you're
you're
believing in
doing.
Heupel and what they do offensively, too, though.
I mean, yeah. But believing in Heupel and what they do offensively requires a guy who can throw the football to win.
I agree. Listen, you don't have to convince me of that. I feel like I've come on here every day and said it. All right, let's throw the next 3 up there real quick. Got Clemson, Washington, and USC.
Oh, you did put USC.
Yeah, where they're supposed to be at like 11. Because they can't tackle a math problem in a 3rd grade classroom right now. And until they do, I don't think we believe.
So ahead of Clemson.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt with Clemson because I got to see with Klubnik and that offensive line. And again, we talk about the skill players. That's been one of Clemson's biggest bugaboos.
That's the craziest thing we've ever, us talking about Clemson not having good skill players.
Remember the argument was always like Clemson's offensive line was just good enough for them to let the skill players go eat. Now they've been a little bit above average on the offensive line with average skill players.
I think K's going to have a big year.
I hope he does.
I do too, and they're still going to be good on defense. I like them more inside the top 10, to be honest. The AP had them at 9. I think that's pretty close.
Would you trade
they had
them
them behind
State?
Florida State, which is still like, okay,
Yeah.
to me, like Florida State's going to have to go beat them.
Yeah, I know, but right now, I would take Florida State's roster over Clemson's roster, right?
Yeah, where's that game at?
The game's at Clemson.
I don't know. Who would you? So Clemson's one of those teams we talk about that wins when it matters most. Would you put that in your ranking for moving them up?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
And their schedule.
Yeah.
I'd rather. He's talking about rather having Florida State's roster. I would too, but I'd rather have their schedule.
No, I agree with that 100%. And you don't have to play LSU week 1 either.
And then Washington sandwich in between there. Washington could go win that conference.
They could defensively.
Yeah,
I got to see
Pac-12's up in the
Washington
air.
though.
I lost a lot in the secondary.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of defensive questions, almost the same amount with Washington as there is with USC.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that big of a difference. So again, I think we always say balance keeps you on the beam. All right, let's go ahead and throw the next one up there. Top 10, number 10, Penn State, Drew Aller, huge hinge player. Penn State's got a top 5 defense in the country.
Yeah.
Yep, like they usually do.
You look at what they have at running back, you look at what they have at the skill position. Drew Aller's what everybody thinks he is. We'll see. They're in the Big Ten East. That's the only thing. You got to get by Michigan and Ohio State. I'm not sure. Does Penn State play Wisconsin?
No, not this year. I don't believe. But they host Michigan. That game right there, tell you, it's always fun. It's usually a whiteout. It's usually at night. That's going to be a dogfight for Michigan.
God, that division too, man. We talk about the SEC West, and look, you're right. But the Big Ten East, it's right. It ain't far behind
this season.
Yeah.
But let's see how Drew Aller plays, and let's see how Buckeyes' new quarterback plays.
All right, number 9, Oregon, physical. Bo Nix having fun, focused. Dan Lanning.
I like it.
I like what Oregon has. I think that's about right.
I believe
they got to be. Outside of it, and we're going to get to the team that we have as the favorite in the Pac-12 with what they're returning. But I would put Oregon a solid number 2 in the conference right now.
And your biggest win is you don't open with Georgia this year.
Yes.
So that's a big.
So you don't get murdered.
So you're already winning before you've played any.
Can you imagine picking Oregon to win that game last year?
Yeah, man. Who would have done that?
Crazy. I could never do something like that.
Yeah. All right, number 7. Utah.
I like
Come on,
it.
That's right.
I like it.
That's right. Back-to-back Pac-12 champs. You're returning Cam Rising, the Dark Knight, Jaquindon Jackson at running back.
Yeah.
Up front, you look at Utah defensively. Come on. Talk about respect. Look where they got Utah ranked, man.
14.
They got Utah at 14 in the AP. Y'all got them they got them at 14 in both polls. Disgusting. Yet y'all are going to put USC at 6? I don't get it. I do get it. Y'all are just in love with Caleb Williams. And he's an unbelievable player. He's going to be the number 1 pick. Offensively, USC is good. This is a team sport.
But
it's
if you're
pickleball,
Utah,
man.
If you're Utah, you got to love that.
Good, yeah.
No, we got Kyle Whittingham. Yeah, hell yeah.
I love that.
They think we're only going to win 7 games.
Yep.
We're going to go
You
7
can really
and 5.
mind, yeah.
7 and 5.
The manipulation factor.
Disgusting.
All right, number 6, Ohio State.
All right, there you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Who's playing quarterback? Right? You lost both tackles and your center? Damn, dog.
They always got
Those are the 3 I don't want to lose.
They always got some guy.
No, they do, but
hey, bring in the sledgehammer.
I've seen them reload year after year after year. Now, they got to do it. They do have to do it.
Yeah.
Whoever's playing quarterback, I'm sure, will be better
Just
than the last guy.
Just throw it in the vicinity where your
was
receiver
better than the last one.
Well, let's
and that wide receiver core.
Is it more questions about Ohio State's defense right now?
Well, they return a lot on defense.
Yeah, I know, but in the big in the big games, what are they going to walk in against Michigan? Are they going to run 0 the whole game?
That's something.
Everybody
keeps talking about Michigan.
They went
everybody keeps talking about
the whole
Michigan.
week. But Jim Knowles, year 2, I gotta think he's gonna figure it out.
You got at Notre Dame week 4. You got Penn State at home 3 weeks after that. You go to Wisconsin right after Penn State. Boys, I'm telling you, Ohio State ain't running in that game undefeated.
Notre Dame's going to try to Michigan them.
They will.
They're going to turn around and hand it off repeatedly. They're getting the play action game. Their play action game will be good, but I'm telling you,
they're going to heat this ass up on offense.
Because if you're going to go 0 against Michigan because you're just scared of getting your ass whooped to the box, you might have to do the same thing versus Notre Dame. You got Sam sitting back there slinging the pill.
Here's the 2 questions you face Ohio State defensively. You got 2 options, I think. New quarterback coming in. If you're Notre Dame, you got them week 4. They're not going to be tested week 1 at Indiana, maybe for a quarter. Then you got Youngstown State. That's going to be murder, she wrote. Western Kentucky, murder, he wrote. And then you got at Notre Dame week 4. If I'm Marcus Freeman, defensively, you say, all right, and I know you got 3 games of film on him. Who knows how many, tendencies you're really going to get. You either heat them up, play cover 1 behind it, try and play off. I wouldn't play press. Would not play press on the outside against these guys. I don't care how good you think you are at DB. Wait till November
to do that.
Yeah. Or do you say, that's fine. We're just going to try and keep everything in front and see if the quarterback has the guts
to
give up
nickel and
3 dime us down the field.
I have a third.
I know you got to mix it up, but like in important downs, where are you going with?
I have a third question for him that I've been thinking about. If it does go ugly early, let's say they take a loss to Notre Dame or maybe even before, what is the vibe in the locker room, especially with some of those guys who are going to be top 10, top 5 picks? You're talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. and Ime Mboka, and do those guys sort of say, all right, look, it's not a natty year, maybe check out?
I think they would sit out.
Ooh, ow, my hammy situation.
Yeah. Oh, my knee, my ankle.
You see it more and
my
more in the
ankle.
college game these days. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is about to get paid a lot of money.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best wide receiver prospect I've seen coming out since Julio Jones. That's just the truth to me.
Ooh, that's a bold statement, Con.
A lot of people are saying
I'd probably
that,
take
though.
Devontae Smith.
You take Devontae Smith
Really?
over Marvin Harrison? I would take Marvin Harrison Jr. over Devontae Smith in a second. I think it's a better conversation, A.J. Brown versus Marvin Harrison Jr. than Devontae Smith versus Marvin Harrison Jr.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Devontae Smith's out-received A.J. the last year.
I don't know. I think we need to look at the numbers. If we're looking at
I mean, the kid won the Heisman in college.
Hear me out
Pretty
now.
good.
Lad McConkey.
Look, dog.
Lad.
Look, don't get me started.
Harry
Your name's
Potter?
Lad.
Don't get me started.
Your name's Lad.
up.
You're running double moves.
Yeah.
If your last name's McConkey.
If Lad McConkey came in here riding the Nimbus 3000, I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
He just was on a broom and then just landed and got off. I'd be like, oh, it's Lad. He's
just
here.
flex sealing Georgia's offense.
Yeah, that's true. But number 6, who do we got? Alabama. About right.
All right.
About right. Wow, everybody panic. Everybody panic.
All right,
Bama's
it
at
was
6.
Nick, it was
Got
him.
no.
It was him.
Got questions. Let's throw up number 5. Let's really throw up number 5. Texas.
Oh,
okay.
God.
All right.
Wow.
Oh, they're back, baby.
Wow.
Hey, guess who's number 4? A&M. Come
No,
on.
that's not true.
They're back.
Blaine's going to just trip out people on audio. No, Florida State's number 4. Here's why Texas is at 5. I think Texas right now has less questions going into the year than Alabama does. You got your quarterback, Quinn Ewers. You return a top 5 offensive line in the country. You're as good defensively as you have been in the front 7 in a long time. You brought in guys like Catalan from Arkansas on the back end. Texas is a complete team. The only question is, can they finally do it, right? Eventually, you do it, right? Like Belo. Like they say, you never get this, you never get this.
break cage.
Then one day, Belo break cage, and he get this.
That's exactly what we were talking about with Georgia. Finally getting over the Alabama
Ran with Bama last year.
Right?
Ran with them last year with a
finally
hurt
getting
Quinn
over that
Ewers.
Alabama hump. I mean, everything you're saying is true, and everyone else knows it too, right? They're looking at the rosters. They're looking at the
They just
returning
get nervous
quarterback,
when they have to do their rankings.
But when they have to do the rankings, and they have to fill it out. They're looking at 2 different programs. One of them has won, 6 national championships in
Wow.
a dozen years, and the other one has been saying they're back every single year, and they're not back, and they're like, the trust factor just kicks in.
But then that 1 year.
But
Can't wait.
then 1 year, they play each other week 2, and we really get to see what
No,
it's
you
all
can put
about.
this one on me. You can put Texas. I don't think this Florida State ranking at 4 is crazy at all. I don't think this. I think it's crazier where they put him in the AP and in the coaches.
I think
I'd put
it's crazy
Florida
that Mike
State
Norvell was leading the coaches on the hot seat a year ago.
I know.
And now look at them.
Look, they flipped
Have
the
some
script.
patience with these.
Look at their
coaches.
recruiting too right
know.
now. All right, number 3. LSU. There you go. Smells right. Smells right.
It makes sense. With the roster they're returning, it makes sense. I get
does.
it.
We've gone into LSU. We didn't have to hammer that home. And it's Michigan and Georgia 2 and 1 for obvious reasons. Go ahead and throw them up there. And I want people to know. Let's go ahead and put Michigan up there at number 2. So everybody says, there we go. This is our preseason top 25. We have not given our predictions of what we think is going to happen. This is a collective list. All right, together, our preseason top 25. We are going to start giving our predictions starting next Monday, right? Yes, that is right. Oh my God, it's so close. It's so close. We're going to go conference by conference, finishing on Friday with, I believe, the SEC, and then our college football playoff, each individually, and then our national champion.
I
And
love
it's
it.
Be the greatest time ever. So that's our top 25, 25-1. North Carolina, UTSA, Arkansas, Tulane, TCU, Texas Tech, Wisconsin, K-State, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Oregon State, Tennessee, Clemson, Washington, USC, Penn State, Oregon, Utah, Ohio State, Bama, Texas, FSU, LSU, Michigan, and Georgia. The certified Crain and Company top 25 to make college football preseason polls much gooder.
I love it.
All right, what do we got in the Booster Club? I'm sure it's just everybody.
All right, let's get a Cole Frank $2 donation. LeBron is mid. MJ's the GOAT. Lane, I need it. It's mid. Yeah, buddy, it's going to come for sure. Let's go to Heartbroken Hog. He says, I get it with Utah, and they're definitely not going to lose to Florida this year.
No, I think they're going to murder Florida week 1.
All right, let's go to Malcolm Martin. He says, Texas will need Vince Young to go back 15 years and come out of bankruptcy for them to be good again. Come on, guys.
Don't think so. Don't think so. Listen, again, I get it. I get the jokes. Texas, every year, they're back, whatever. I get it. But like I've said, I go on circumstantial evidence that I have going into this year. Every year is different. Every team is different. Every coaching staff is different. Every locker room is different. I think Texas has a legitimate chance to make the playoff this year.
And I just want to see this Quinn Ewers kid stay healthy. Just want to see him stay healthy
He's
to see what he's
cooking.
capable
He's
of.
Bobby Flay.
And it's never a good recipe when you have to play Alabama if you're Texas. Those quarterbacks just get knocked out of that game.
I agree.
Like he did last year, and he was playing so well.
Marcel Darius.
First half, man, had him on the ropes, man.
It's like the Texas quarterback plays really well early, and then Alabama just like hits like the eject button. They're like, all right, let's just go and rip his spleen out.
That boundary blitz on Bryce Young last year.
Calling apocalypse.
Ducked under it.
Let's go to Jessup Polk. He says, you can be as talented as you want to be. Doesn't mean you're a top 5 team to start this year. Pat Mahomes wasn't on a top 5 preseason team, and Quint ain't Pat.
I would take Quinn Ewers' team around him over the team that Patrick Mahomes had around him. Because that's why, again, I think the argument's not the individual, it's the collective. That's why football's the greatest team sport there is. Jessup's just mad we had Tennessee at like 14.
Also, I'll say it again. This will be the defining year on whether or not Steve Sarkisian is a great head coach or whether he's a great coordinator. And he is a great coordinator.
For sure.
Let's go to Aiden Losh. He says CNC left Michigan Tech off their rankings because they're scared of what they know is true. MTU's the best team in the nation.
We said they're going 10-0.
Let's get technical.
I mean, shock the nation, boys. All right, let's go to Brian Hall, $10 donation. Appreciate it, Brian. Little update. Tuesday's Alonzo home run game, 7 for 16 so far this season on Tuesdays. 3 and 4 since All-Star weekend. Mets don't believe. Alonzo maybe. Alonzo over a half a home run today.
Taco Tuesday. Pete
Taco
Alonso.
Tuesday.
I like that.
All right, let's get to the Hayfords. All right, he wants to know, this year, USC, are they a top 10 team or is it a fallacy?
I think top 10 is a lot different conversation than top 5. Can an offense be good enough to make you a top 10 team and not a top 5 team? Yes. I think they're around about where we had them. Right? 9 to 10, maybe 11. They're not good enough on deep. They're not going to win the Pac-12.
But traditionally, they've been able to out-athlete schools in the Pac-12. And this year, when you start looking around at what Oregon has, Utah, Washington, Oregon State, I mean, it's
even Arizona a little bit with Jed Fish. I mean, like this, there's not your point, there's not the weeks off that you've had in the past in the Pac-12.
And you throw in a game against Notre Dame in there, too.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm not buying this USC hype.
Let's go to Stephen Moore, the man who's always correct. Are you concerned that Wisconsin will have a terrible transition year since the scheme requires different skill sets from their typical power game?
No, I mean, because defensively, I don't think there's going to be a lot of drop-off in what they do. I think there's some similarities and crossover. Offensively, just because you bring in a guy like Phil Longo, who's an air raid principal guy, doesn't mean you're going straight to the Mike Leach air raid, throw it every time. Even when Phil Longo was at Ole Miss in North Carolina, it wasn't true air raid. You have a defensive head coach. You're going to have air raid principles. And what do defensive head coaches know? You need to be able to run the ball. There is going to be a semblance of balance, but what Phil Longo, I think his biggest strength is having a guy like Tanner Mordecai, who I don't think is getting enough credit, especially in the quarterback run game, to be able to play him off Braylon Allen, who's an NFL running back, a guy that I'm really excited about. I think could have a really big breakout star type year, big number type year with what they're going to do in the pass game and being able to throw it around. But I think Phil Longo bringing in that the combinations you're going to get out of the air raid, the way you kind of stress the perimeter of the defensive backfield is going to open up that interior for what Wisconsin still does best, and that's run the ball with the big uglies.
Yep.
All right, let's go to Texas Ed. He says UTSA has almost all returning offense with a few returning defense.
Yeah.
Going to be a tough out for anybody on their schedule. Week 1 against Houston.
Yeah, I like UTSA against Houston week 1. Even I tell you what, Clayton Tune didn't look bad the other night, by the way, in the preseason game. Kind of surprised me a little bit. UTSA's got Houston and they've got Tennessee. That schedule, don't be shocked. They go 11-1. That's why we had them in the top 25.
All right, let's go to Bo Jacks. He says, why are Tennessee fans acting like they didn't lose their best quarterback in a while?
Mm-hmm.
I can understand it, though. Look, Tennessee, we talk about teams being back. I mean, Tennessee been walking around the wilderness for the past 14, 15 years, right? A very historic program with a lot of tradition that understands, success that's kind of been in the back burner. They should be excited. I get why they're excited, and fan is short for fanatical, but there needs to be some realistic expectations in that this whole Joe Milton, all of a sudden he's going to have a resurgence because he has a strong arm. Joe Milton's had a strong arm.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think he was offered a scholarship? He wasn't offered a scholarship because of his incredible accuracy. He was offered a scholarship because he's humongous, can run, and has an absolute howitzer attached to his shoulder. Can he throw the changeup? That's the biggest question. And if you want to change up your coffee routine and you want to save money and drink America's coffee, our friends at Black Rifle Coffee have you absolutely covered. Summer's in full swing. And look, we get you don't always have time to brew coffee the traditional way each morning. Speaking of Tennessee, you want to go Josh Heupel up-tempo coffee offense?
I want to go up-tempo.
All right? You want to go up-tempo?
Get lined up.
Pongo.
All right? That's why you need to check out Black Rifle's coffee, ready-to-drink cans. Wake up, hop out the bed like you're possessed, crack open a Black Rifle coffee ready-to-drink can, and guess what? You are possessed by greatness and energy. It's perfect for people who need their coffee quickly. Contains 200 milligrams of caffeine. Look, Black Rifle Coffee, they do it right. They're veteran-founded. They're operated by principled men and women who honor those who protect, defend, and support our country. Blondie, what flavor do you got over there, and why is it not Flaming Dragon yet?
It's in the works right now.
Keep saying that.
Great things take time.
Keep saying it's in the works.
Great things take
I
time.
need results.
We're not going to rush this. We're not Russians, all right? But you know what I do have? Enemy AC 130 above. It's a gunship.
It's a gunship.
All right? And it's delicious coffee. And they love America. In your face.
What do you got, Diesel?
Blackbeard's Delight. That bag's already gone. Drank it all. And then Headless Horseman's Roast.
Ichabod.
That is the pumpkin spice because fall's around the corner.
You got a pirate and a headless horseman.
That I do.
It's unbelievably impressive.
Sounds like a great
So
night.
save money. Drink America's coffee. Go to blackriflecoffee.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER at checkout for 10% off your one-time purchase or first coffee club order. It's blackriflecoffee.com. Promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER for 10% off. You can also find it in grocery and convenience stores, but we all know you want to order it online. Black Rifle Coffee. America's coffee. Speaking about online, this guy's always online and always on time, even though that wasn't meant to rhyme. Our friend, Brandon Marcello. B-Mar, what's up, dog?
Not much. Good things come in threes. You had 3 words rhyme there. That's good.
I know. Listen, thinking about running a book. I'm basically the Dr. Seuss of sports talk. We've all kind of agreed with that around here. I don't know if you got a chance to see our top 25 that we released. It's certified, in case you were wondering. I know you guys are certified over there at 247 Sports too. That's where you can find Brandon Marcello. Don't know if you got to see it, but my question to you is, let out to show with it. Why is LSU ranked behind Ohio State and Bama?
Ooh, that's a good question. Now, I've got Ohio State ranked above LSU, but I've got Bama behind LSU. To me, like, I don't know how you would rank Alabama ahead of LSU right now because LSU knows who their quarterback is, and I also think Jaden Daniels is a little bit underrated at quarterback. And I've got some questions about Alabama's secondary, just their depth. I mean, listen, Alabama this offseason had to go to the transfer portal and get 2 group of 5 guys from the secondary to help build depth there at a position that Nick Saban, the GOAT, he is the GOAT, coaches. So they've missed a couple times here in recruiting over the last few years, and you have to go to the transfer portal, get group of 5 kids in to be at the position that you coach and are known for. That prompts some questions, plus the quarterback position. So it's difficult for me right now in the preseason to rank Alabama ahead of LSU, more so than Ohio State. I really like Ohio State. I think the defense is going to be a lot better, especially the secondary this year than what it was. But it also has that question Bama has is replacing a quarterback, but I think Alabama is maybe not as talented at the quarterback spot as Ohio State is.
Yeah, it's an interesting argument. I do want to ask you too, Brandon, while we got you on here, because this story is one that's we looked at yesterday that was unbelievably surprising that we dove into. This Michael Oher situation, with which, if our audience isn't familiar, it's the offensive lineman from The Blind Side who supposedly was adopted, not by Tim McGraw. He just played one of the people on TV. But the Tuohys, now it's apparently there's a petition that he's filed saying he wasn't actually adopted. It was a conservatorship. I believe I said that word right. And that he didn't profit off any of the movie or any of the books, and that the Tuohy family profited off of that. Is it fair to say that Michael Oher got blindsided?
I mean, it sounds like it. There's always two sides to every story, or really there's three sides. There's the two sides and then the truth somewhere in the middle.
For sure.
I wonder about the timing of it. You know, and I also saw SJ's interview yesterday with Barstool Sports, where, I mean, it certainly seems that there's been kind of a fallout between the family and him over the last several years. They still talk, but it's not as close as they used to be. And he was leading on and was actually saying that there was maybe some discussions in the past about this coming up and how, you know, I need my fair share of money. I do wonder, you know, I'm not going to go into the motivations for everything, but I wonder, because you're seeing right now with the strikes going on in Hollywood right now, and a lot of this centers on the money that he was not paid for the movie and the movie rights, and he's never liked the movie and the involvement there. I think he sees an opportunity here to get what probably he deserves. I mean, the movie's about him. And if he wasn't getting money for it, I mean, this is a way to get that done. But I don't know what the relationship's like between the family and everything. I just go by what we've seen so far. But man, it's a hot button issue, because this is something that's so easily you could pick sides on.
For sure.
It's one of those things. I mean, that's what our society's all about now. It's picking sides, but it's sad that it's all like being played out in the public like this. And also, man, listen, I know movies always draw out the subject, and not all of it's true, but man, if it was completely false, I want my money back. I liked Sandra Bullock in the movie, but I mean, come on.
Made over $300 million.
Well, if Reggie Bush had to give his Heisman back, to Sandra Bullock had to give that Emmy back or whatever she won. I mean,
Oscar.
Dude,
You won an Oscar.
$300 million is what that movie made. I mean, is this an NIL argument, David? Are we going back to NIL?
Literally, it is, because that's what he wants back, is the name, image, and likeness. So, I mean, a few things here. The ex-NFLer subject of The Blind Side claims that Sean and Leanne Tuohy never officially adopted him. That's what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a conservatorship. But instead tricked him into signing away the legal authority to use his name in business deals after turning 18. So he's filed a 14-page petition in Tennessee probate court that further claims the Tuohys used their conservatorship to make themselves and their birth children millions of dollars in royalties from the movie.
I mean, look, can you just? It feels like just where's my money situation, but it is a where's my money situation.
A J.G. Wentworth
Like it's
situation?
like made over $300 million and you didn't see a cent.
Yeah.
I'd be living, and it's about you.
I think we'll find out. I think Brandon's right. There's two sides, and there's the truth somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so he seeks to end the Tuohy's conservatorship and wants an injunction to bar them from using his name and likeness. It's literally NIL that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So one of the things that did bother me when this came out was on the ESPN article, it said at the bottom, the Tuohys did not immediately respond when we called them today. It was like there was a call put out the day the article was released.
Yeah.
It's like,
Talk to the lawyers, Dad.
Is that what passes for journalism these days? Like you can't even get both sides of the story and put it out. You know,
that bothers me.
Let it ring one time at 9 a.m. and then at 9:01 publish the story or something. But either way, I'm sure they'll respond and we'll get. I mean, historically, he has not liked the movie. He's never over the
he
past
said he didn't like the
10
way
years.
it portrayed its intelligence.
So either way, we'll find out more about that. Brandon, I want to ask you about the ACC. So the Atlantic Coast Conference was considering adding Stanford and Cal. I heard there were 4 schools that opposed that measure. You got Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, NC State. I think I got those right. What are you hearing out of the ACC right now in terms of conference expansion?
long road to go, and it really stalled out last week about on Thursday. And they were trying to meet again on Friday, and I'm told that meeting really didn't ever happen. So I think that they have stalled out right now. I'll tell you this, based off my sourcing, is that the commissioner, Jim Phillips, wants this expansion. Obviously, most of the schools do, but those 4 are very, very strong in their position of we do not want this done. And in fact, there was some talk from people I've talked to there that they might convince others to join them and against it, which they've already got the votes to not allow it to happen. They need at least 12 of the 15 votes, including Notre Dame. Notre Dame's for it, and that adds a whole other different perspective to this because Notre Dame's not a full partner with the ACC.
Yeah,
You're not even in the
gosh.
conference.
It's like, why are you letting the boyfriend make decisions when you guys are married? What's going on?
You're exactly right. And I think that has not set well with those 4 schools. And it just complicates a complicated matter. Plus, Stanford and Cal just don't fit in the ACC as far as some of their academic stuff. But of course, it's also, we're talking about all the way across the country, which then that becomes a money issue. And as we know, with Florida State, they want more money. So does Clemson. So does North Carolina, which is one of those 4 schools that's against it right now. And so they've looked at the finances of all this, and then they said, okay, maybe we can improve this by adding SMU as well to sweeten the pot a little bit and also give us something that's not as far out west. And the money is still not lining up to convince them because of the travel. The travel, I was told, is something that's going to end up almost negating the added value of those schools. And this including, too, by the way, SMU sitting there and going, hey, we'll join the ACC. We really want to. You don't have to pay us for 5 to 7 years.
We'll just hang out.
And they can't get it done.
Talking about Stanford, I saw this stat the other day. I wanted to mention it because it blew my mind. From 2010, which was Jim Harbaugh's last year at Stanford, up to 2016, so the first 6 seasons of David Shaw's tenure, Stanford, I'm talking about football here, they won 12 games, 11 games, 12, 11, 8, 12, and 10. I mean, can you imagine during that run that we would have ever talked about them being left in the wilderness and not having a conference? But, the other part of this, Brandon, you talk about the Stanford thing, but then also, isn't it weird that when all these ACC teams, or I say all of them, Florida State and Clemson specifically, are trying to get out of the ACC, but they're locked in with this grant of rights, that all of a sudden the conference can still somehow add more teams in? How does the contract allow for addition without schools leaving?
That's just the way it works because ESPN owns the ACC network. They own the ACC in a lot of ways. And hey, we'll add more teams and do so at a value we kind of see fit. I will say this. Some of those deals are better than what Fox offers. Fox's deals usually are, okay, if you expand, we're not going to pay the same amount that we're paying you right now as far as per team average. The ESPN's like, hey, add more teams and we'll pay you more based off of the average there. But I'll say this about Stanford real quick. I mean, a couple of years ago, when the pandemic stuff was going on and the Pac-12 saying we're not going to play, and everybody's like, what the hell is the Pac-12 doing? There was even talk back then, like, well, what's it going to do financially to all these schools? And it was all like, Stanford doesn't really care. They would get rid of football tomorrow. They just don't care as a university about the football program. And it's crazy to say that because of the success you just mentioned, but also because of the money that Stanford has. I mean, right now, as soon as the Pac-12 started dissolving, I was being told that Stanford is a program that really doesn't have much to worry about because in the end, they'll probably just go independent. If they can't go find a conference as a soft landing spot, they'll just go independent. And it's funny to hear that when, you hear people saying they just don't care about football. They'll just get rid of football at some point. And yet they're like, we'll just go independent. We got the money to do it.
Yeah. They're not exactly hurting out there for cash. Can you imagine saying, "Oh, we'll just get rid of football in the state of Alabama"?
I can't.
Like, sorry, we're too busy painting.
Brandon, I don't know if you saw our poll, but Texas is at number 5.
Yeah,
all right.
That's right.
I'm going to ask you the question: is Texas back?
Here we go.
Is this the year, Brandon, for the 10th year in a row?
This is the most talented Texas team in more than a decade. I think that's easy to say. They're still killing it on the recruiting trail. They're going to be more talented next year and the year after that than they are this year. I don't know if they're top 5 right now, guys. I think I have them number 12 in my top 25, and that was probably a little low, but prove it. I gotta see it. I mean, I love the talent, the players that got there, but Steve Sarkisian, I question his in-game decisions at times. I was in person for the Texas-Oklahoma State game last year, and first half they looked great. Second half was terrible. I just didn't understand the decisions they were making, and of course they end up losing. And at that time, we were talking about all these losses they have had that just made you scratch your head. And they were more talented than Oklahoma State last year, and they should not have lost that game. And I was baffled by some of the in-game decisions. So let's see him come up in some big games this year, all right? And then I'll say they're back because they've got the talent to be a top 5 team this year. I do question Steve Sarkisian as a top 5 coach.
Yeah, we'll find out pretty early against Bama. That's going to be a hell of a week 2 matchup, man. Week 2 is shaping up to be. I mean, you got that game. You have obviously Texas Tech and Oregon. Pretty excited.
Great to see LSU and Florida State play. Hey, USC at number 6. Is that too high for you? Where would you put USC at right now?
I have them at 7, so not very much difference there. The defense will be better. How can it not be better after last year?
Yeah,
they really got worn out near the end of last season. I was talking to some of the players and coaches out there a couple of weeks ago, and as a football player and as a coach, you don't really bring up excuses during the season. Oh, we're just tired. That's why we're not doing so well. But they were beat up. They were beat up last year. They did not have the depth, especially defensively. They've got depth this year, guys, especially along that defensive front. They're going to be, I think, very surprising in the trenches this year. And I'm a believer in Alex Grinch as a defensive coordinator. I know he gets a lot of flack. Saw a lot of blown assignments last year, some issues there. But this year, I think USC's legit. I mean, I got them going to the playoff this year.
Really? So here's my question. How can we believe in – we've seen Alex Grinch at Oklahoma. They could never figure it out on defense. Right? I just don't know how on one hand we believe in Alex Grinch figuring it out, and on the other hand, we don't believe in Steve Sarkisian figuring it out. Lincoln Riley, to me, is one of the greatest play callers, game planners I've ever seen. But as far as balance on a team, and you know this better than anybody, Brandon, you win national championships with balanced teams. There's not been, you can maybe make an argument for 2019 LSU, who was good on defense, but not fantastic. But that offense was so legendary. I don't know, man. They led close to leading the country in takeaways last year on defense. Probably not going to happen again, but they'll be better fundamentally, I think, on defense, which I don't know, man. I look at this schedule. You got Utah at Notre Dame, Washington at home, and Oregon. There could be 3 losses there, and they not even sniff the playoff.
I'm not a big believer in Oregon this year. I think they're going to regress because of the new offensive coordinator there, who I like. But
I'm interested to see that. Yeah, I'm interested to see that.
I think Kenny Dillingham got the best out of Bo Nix just off of some of the things and the half rollouts they were doing last year in a lot of plays. I think that when you look at USC, the schedule, you mentioned it, so the toughest games are at home this year for the most part. And also, I think they're just built and equipped to last the long run down the stretch and not be worn out and tired and have to fill holes because of injuries. But, listen, I look back, we're talking about Lincoln Riley in the playoff. I look back to the OU Georgia game, which was a classic in the playoff. They were right there. And yes, the defense wasn't great, but I'll say this. I think that this defense that USC's going to have this year is probably going to be one of the most talented that Alex Grinch has had. They've still got some issues here and there, but I mean, that defensive front, guys, is really, really good. It's going to be his best defensive front that he's had, just as far as raw power, strength, and they got some big guys there in the middle of that defense. And I think that's what they need. They need guys that are just going to absolutely bully people in the Pac-12.
Yeah, they're one of the fascinating teams to watch, and it's going to be a fascinating year. I mean, typically we've gone in the last couple of years with a dominant team that we feel like is going to win the whole thing. But Brandon, it's always dominant when you're on, my friend. 247 Sports, one of the best in the business. Tell everybody where they can find you on social, good buddy.
At B Marcello on X and Brandon Marcello on everything else.
Brandon, it's always great to talk to you, buddy. It's great to see you at SEC Media Day, too.
Yeah, you looking good, Jake. See you guys.
Hey, look, man, I got it from you, dog. You're the one. Shit. I mean, crap. You're looking great. But no, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Brandon Marcello, one of the best in the business. God, man, there's somebody's got to end up coming out of this pack of USC and Texas. Somebody's got to end up doing it. That's the biggest question. But all right, let's get to the Booster Club, and then we got some reactions.
Let's go to Travis Elrod. He wants to know, are there any other non-West Coast teams besides SMU that could get in the ACC? Maybe UTSA, a Tulane?
In the SEC?
ACC?
Sure, but it's still weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean, geographically, it's just like, what are we doing here?
We just had a conversation about teams in Berkeley and Palo Alto going to the Atlantic Coast Conference.
At least with USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten, it's like those brands are so huge.
They are, and at least it's called the Big Ten. It's not the Midwest.
The Big 12 really started this before anyone. I mean, they added West Virginia a long time ago.
That's true.
And, with getting Central Florida now out of Orlando, and they got Cincinnati, so they're all over the place as well.
Well, if you look at West Virginia, they're in a weird place to be called West Virginia, too. If you really think about it, like on the map, it's just kind of weird where they're at.
They're just west of Virginia.
They are, but like, y'all, I mean, we can call it Eastern. Like, I know you're not Eastern Virginia, but it's just weird. I don't know. I didn't make the map. Don't blame me.
Let's go to the Hayfords. He wants to know how we see Louisville doing in the ACC this year, and could they sneak up on some people?
Yeah, their schedule's not too tough. I like them bringing back Braum. I don't know depth-wise, how talented they're really going to be, but I think it's going to be a lot better situation than what they had under Satterfield. I'm still shocked that Cincinnati ended up hiring Satterfield. I can't believe that. I feel like they panicked and they reached. That's what I feel like. All right, you ready to get to reactions?
Let's do it. Let's get to some reactions. The New York Jets signed Dalvin Cook, boys.
Telling you.
Thoughts?
I keep saying it. The more I look at the Jets, and I know it's the Jets, people make their jokes just like they will about Texas and A&M, but the more it's looking like a Super Bowl team to me, fellas.
Man, I'm starting to agree with you.
Where are they weak at?
In an era where you have to have an elite quarterback to win the Super
Is it
Bowl.
offensive line?
You've got one of the best to do it. I mean,
is it offensive line? Is that what's going to cost them? But is Aaron Rodgers good enough to make up for it somewhat? Got to be, right?
No, well, he's obviously good enough to make up for it, but is he good enough to win a Super Bowl with it? That's the question. Because, Breece Hall's going to be starting.
And Zonovan Knight's nice, too.
Yeah. So, Dalvin will be getting backup reps, but, maybe some red zone reps. We'll see how it is. Breece got to stay healthy.
He does.
But that defense, top 3.
That's why you got to feel even better about this.
100%.
Right? Because he's not even coming in. It's not like you were missing a piece and you're bringing Dalvin Cook in to be the piece, right?
Yeah.
He's coming in. He might even be the starting running back. That's a nice ad.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, man. The Jets are really starting to put something together.
I like it. I like their physicality. I don't know, man. I want the Jets to be good. I don't know why. Like, I'm not a New York teams guy, obviously. I'm a Braves fan. But part of me with
that
the
defense,
Jets,
man. Quinn Williams up front. The man blessed himself after he sneezed.
He did.
You got Sauce Gardner. You got Sauce
He said he
Gardner
blessed himself.
Like any person who blesses himself, and you play nose.
What did he do?
He sneezed, then blessed myself. He said, "Achoo," and then he blessed himself. He said, "Bless you, thank you."
I don't know why that's so funny.
I believe.
All right.
Oh man, I believe.
Next one, Ezekiel Elliott to the Patriots.
This man's out here stealing money.
Who cares?
I can't wait to watch Zeke get.
But no.
I can't wait for the Patriots.
He's going to wear 15 again.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Patriots to be at the 1 yard line and watch it run it 3 times with Zeke and not score.
Yeah, I'm
stealing money. $6 million.
Look,
play backup.
Got that pop of the James Harden of the NFL.
Well,
James done more than him.
Potbelly, though.
That was the next one. James Harden. Have you heard about this situation?
With tell everybody.
Disgruntled 76ers star James Harden slams liar Daryl Morey, the president of the 76ers. After he came off the trade block. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
2 days after it was reported that the 76ers ended trade talks involving James Harden, the 10-time All-Star ripped 76ers president Daryl Morey, saying, "Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of." Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization he's a part of.
And then James Harden's going to end up going back to the Sixers.
Now, Morey was with the Rockets for James Harden's entire
That's
tenure.
right.
That's why I brought him over to the 76ers.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on here.
I just like all this is funny, and then they're just gonna. Philadelphia's like, we got to blow it. We got to blow it up. We got to blow the team up because they can't get past it. But then they just keep bringing the team back.
Yeah.
Like it's just a trick. It's like they're just trying to like. It's like a recycling thing. It's just a circle. It never ends.
That's all of the NBA right now. Like, hey, I'm unhappy with this team, so I'm going to jump to the next one.
It's a
How about you
drama.
work on being good?
It's a drama. That's what it is.
Like, work on being good and winning a championship.
Like it's like I don't know if I believe more in the NBA or like Queen Latifah and the Equalizer.
The Equalizer, I believe in the NBA more.
You know, so I mean, who knows?
You want to know how I know? Because I saw a trailer for like the Equalizer 3 or whatever it is with Denzel or Equalizer 2, whatever, and I'm just like, how did we go from Denzel Washington as the Equalizer, who's out here equalizing everybody, to Queen Latifah, who is beating up who? Like watching Queen Latifah
like
run.
not even that. She
Like-
got shot at and they shot out the handcuffs.
Yeah.
And she like proceeded to put someone in the headlock. I'm like, who's writing this? Who's writing this? There's no
It's
way you're
so
in that
bad.
writing room and you
The
believe
casting is so bad.
that. Oh man.
Goodness gracious.
But, I mean, you bring back MVP Joel Embiid, who are you going to put with him? You need, like, I mean,
Maxey.
no one's going to
I mean, I look at that. I like Tobias Harris. I like their team. It's like they just can't
take
win.
$35.6 million on James Harden's player option for another team to pick him up.
Vanessa's a fembot.
James
I
Harden,
don't
baby.
know.
It's James.
All right, next one up, Professor Peyton. Professor Peyton Manning.
Good.
Go back to Tennessee and basically teach
What's he
this
teaching?
fall.
You
Huh?
know what he's, what,
Well, I just think
The
it's
College of Communications and Information has appointed Peyton Manning a professor of practice starting in the fall of 2023.
here's how I think this is gonna go. So I think it starts out with like he has a lesson plan. He's very organized. He's gonna talk about like communicating and doing things like that. And within the first 7 minutes, it's just gonna devolve into like a quarterback meeting.
Omaha.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, all right, well, when you're trying to communicate, he's like, all right, like let's say you see cover 2 pre-snap. All right, you got a lot of questions. What we're going on? Do we like smash? Do we like in between cover 2? Is the corner gonna sit? Don't love it in between. Don't love it against cover 2. Because again, you look at the way that everything's being funneled. I just think it's gonna devolve into a quarterback meeting every time.
It's like, sir, this is a physics class. Why are we watching film on TCU? It's like you're a minute late, you just get decked with a football.
Yeah, you walk in, just eat one in the teeth.
Sit down,
Like you
Omaha.
just break. No, I feel like Peyton has like one of those old school Frank Beamer projectors, like he used to have in class. Like not the new ones now. That's
No,
like
it's chalkboard.
technology. No, like it's like the old one. It has like the lamp on top of it, and he's got like the screen.
He's writing
the
on
clear
it with the
sheet.
screen.
He's writing on the
Yes.
marker.
Yeah.
What a great recruiting play for Tennessee here.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, you wouldn't take a class of Peyton Manning, and I would for a second.
I would.
You see where Arch apparently hit 20 miles per hour on like the speed thing?
Oh, God.
With throwing the football?
No, running.
With throwing it?
running.
I got to see it first.
Running.
Apparently,
in the back
is this
of,
one of
in
those-
the
Hey, I don't know if
running.
you heard,
Hold
but
on.
Arch
In the back
Manning's
of-
Did a
Arch-
car
Arch-
drive by
yeah.
right?
Arch Manning's the fastest person in the world. I don't know if you've heard that.
You know what?
And he can
I
also
did see
throw it
that.
100. He shot a 22 on golf course, 18 holes.
Wow.
He shot a
Kim
20.
Jong-un.
He doesn't wipe.
4 holes without a hole in one?
I know.
Loser.
Oh.
All right, next one up here. I saw this yesterday, and I'd never heard about this. This is a Bulls fan in the 1990s. Do we have this video of this Bulls fan?
Okay.
Yes. Do we have the video?
Wait. So okay, go ahead, David. Sorry.
No. I want you guys to watch this video.
So he
Cash. Oh, it's cash. It's
Made it.
cash.
all right,
He did
so
it.
he
Made
blew
it.
a one-handed shot from the opposite free throw line. It was $1 million shot in 1993, but the insurance company voided
It's
it.
called the Calhoun shot. All right, he made this. They said the one thing they said: don't step over the line when you shoot it. He didn't. He made the shot. It's known as the Calhoun shot. But here's the situation: the insurance company that was required to make the payoff, American Hole-in-One Inc., voided the payment on a technicality. All right, due to Calhoun having played college basketball, which was a violation of their rules. However, the sponsors of the event, Coca-Cola and others, pledged to cover the prize if the insurance company would not, and as a result, Calhoun got his $50,000 a year over the next 20 years. The insurance company still benefited from the publicity, and I think Michael Jordan even stepped up and said, hey, this has to happen.
They Jackie Mooned him. Make it a Busch Bavarian.
Hey,
They Busch Bavarian.
You got to take it to the big bank.
Big bank.
bank.
Do you
With
think
the
that's
big
where they
check.
got that idea from?
Had to. It's called the Calhoun shot. I never heard about this.
No way. If you would have told me,
Insurance companies. I swear.
I would have.
These insurance.
You talk about
customers,
Flaming
man,
Dragon?
out here
Burning
racket,
something down?
racketeering.
Hell no.
I'd just be sitting on a mountaintop.
But he got his money.
looking down on them.
He got his money, though.
He got his money. Do you think they told him to go to the big bank?
Yeah. It's like
Can
gotta
you
take it to the
imagine
big
that
bank department. It's a big
conversation, though?
check.
Like, of them telling him, hey, we're not going to pay you? Like, you talk about, like, when it should be legal to just punch somebody in the face, like, with no repercussions.
Tell them.
That's when it should be legal.
Wow.
Can you-
Even thinking about not paying this guy.
$50K a year.
Just off the rip. $50K a year for
20 years.
20
lump
years.
sum it.
Yeah, carry the 3. Yeah, that makes sense. That's $1 million. Man, that's a good find, David.
There you go.
That'd be good on TikTok. What do you got?
All right, let's go to Connie Iran. He says, yeah, they're bringing Peyton Manning back to actually tutor the Volunteers' new quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's actually Joe Milton's the only one in class. Like, he's the only one allowed to sign up for the class. Peyton Manning's like, listen, we can't ruin this momentum. Here's what you need to do. Throw it through this tire swing. He just takes them out, just do a tire swing every day. It's just Peyton Manning, Joe Milton, and a tire, like, just making him throw through the tire.
What is a coach if not a teacher?
I'd be. You get philosophical on me. It's too early. I like it. I like it.
Let's go to Cody Nason, 95. He says, are the 76ers the Leafs of the NBA?
Yeah.
Well, they
I
didn't make it to
mean-
the playoffs.
Yeah. Offensive team. We're talking about the Leafs just praying to God to get out of the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great comp. Leave it to the king of getting graphic.
Let's go to Jared Grubbs. What do y'all think about Alan Bowman at Oklahoma State?
Here's my thing with Oklahoma State, man. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I've been the biggest Mike Gundy fan of all time. Like, do I think he's a good player? Do I think he's going to be able to replace what Spencer Sanders was able to do, even though Spencer really couldn't stay healthy? I mean, I like him as a player, but I just don't know if Oklahoma State has enough. I feel like Oklahoma State's that team that goes 8-4, ceiling 9-3, that maybe wins a couple they shouldn't and loses a couple they shouldn't. That's the Mike Gundy special, right? I remember him last year,
He transferred from Michigan?
Yeah, well, he got some reps. I mean, when I look at Oklahoma State this year, and I love the physical. Oklahoma State went from a team that was Harlem Globetrotters-ish, let's spread it out, let's throw the ball around, to a team that kind of like Baylor, hey, let's be physical, let's kind of change our identity. I think Spencer Sanders in the run game kind of gave you that. Apparently, Alan Bowman's going to be the guy. And he did transfer from Michigan. He's a 3-star coming out.
He spent 3 years at Texas Tech. Then he spent 2 years at Michigan. Now he's back in the Big 12, I guess, this is a COVID year. His 605-yard passing game in 2018 makes him the only active FBS player with a 600-yard passing game. That performance was also just 5 yards away from matching the NCAA freshman.
I totally forgot about his time at Texas Tech. Look, for as many years as he's been playing, we still really don't know. You're in year 6. We'll see. I think Oklahoma State's one of the hardest teams to project, man. They're like a chameleon. They just keep changing.
Let's go to Jared Howlett. What's up, Jared? So the Jets are going to be like the Eagles' dream team from a few years ago. God, but their O-line's terrible, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't keep it. That's the difference. I think Philadelphia's really good on the offensive line and the defensive line. Again, speaking of the equalizer, how much of an equalizer is Aaron Rodgers going to be at quarterback? That's... Again, if you're the Jets' offensive line, just be the difference, not the reason. Right? We always say that. Be the difference, not the reason. You play above weight, y'all could legitimately win the Super Bowl. Could legitimately win it. I can't believe I'm saying that.
All right, let's go to Texas Ed. He wants to know, does Jeff Traylor get the Baylor or Houston job next year?
I think if Dana didn't figure it out at Houston, I don't think Baylor's getting rid of Dave Aranda anytime soon, unless Dave Aranda were to leave to go somewhere else. But that's something that's unforeseen. I think there's a really good chance if Dana Holgorsen doesn't figure it out at Houston, Jeff Traylor will be the next head coach there. Then you're going to have Jeff Traylor at Houston. You're going to have Joey McGuire at Texas Tech, 2 high school legends in that state. Absolutely love it. It's like Friday night. It's like Saturday Night Lights. All right, one more.
Let's go to Hayfords, who wants to know, seeing the ACC, where they're going, where do the teams split to, what's next? Are other conferences gone within the same time?
I think the ACC down the road's in trouble, but I don't know how they get out of that contract to go to the Big Ten. The SEC is the only option to me because it's owned by ESPN. But again, I'm not a lawyer. We'll see. All right, let's get to bets. Yesterday, 8-0. Pretty excited about it, but nobody's talking about it. We're trying to get to football. I'm going to win with the Braves -1.5, Rangers -1.5 yesterday. They both hit. Give me the Braves, Rangers, money line together. That's a parlay plus 124. Got Bryce Elder on the mound for the Braves. Jordan Montgomery, who's also on my fantasy team, on the mound for the Rangers. Then I'm going to go Twins at home. Bailey Ober's on the mound, going against Alex Faede on the Tigers. Give me the Twins -1.5 at plus 105.
Love it. I'm going to go Blue Jays plus 100, and then Cubs -175 playing the White Sox.
All right, give me the Rangers at home. I'm going to keep rolling with the kids. -1.5. That's going off at plus 116. Give me the Nats money line.
The Nats,
plus 140.
No Yankees tonight for you?
Who's betting? Yeah, look, I'm not.
I'm thinking about. I got Severino. I got
Severino.
Severino on my fantasy team. He's pitching for the Yankees. I'm thinking about just not starting him.
Yeah, his ERA's 8.
Yeah, and it's the Braves, who are basically like the evil.
The Braves are about to break like the.
Yeah, like the Braves are basically the evil clowns from Slugfest, right?
God, they're gonna win it all this year.
I
can't wait to watch them win it.
Baby Cone, he's gonna stick with the Braves. Great pick. He's gonna go with the Braves -1.5 on the run line. He's gonna go Pods -145. Man, Pods been really quiet in this back half, which is sad. Interested to see what goes on with Juan Soto too. All right, got about 9 minutes left. Let's go back to the Booster Club.
All right, let's go to Justin Deckers. He says, guys, if Robbie Ashford wins the Auburn QB job, I'm picking them to upset Georgia. Am I crazy?
Yes. If Robbie Ashford wins the Auburn QB job, it's either going to be really good or really bad. I don't think there's any in between, because that means he's either figured it out and he's legitimate enough thrower to where that RPO system and the run game is going to be absolutely nuts, or Peyton Thorne didn't work out and we're going to watch Robbie Ashford, though, have a 50% completion percentage. Just hope to God he runs around people. And I don't know if Auburn has the depth on the offensive line to be able to do that.
Yeah, if Robbie's playing anything other than slot receiver, I'm going to be worried. Let's go to 2R3, not good as 1. It says Peyton is coming for the commission. He's going to be the commissioner of the NFL. I wouldn't put it past Peyton Manning.
No, I would much rather Peyton Manning be the commissioner. That would be the first time the commissioner didn't get booed at the draft.
Yep.
What are you going to boo Peyton Manning?
No, I can't.
What?
Do it.
That's like putting Ronald McDonald as commissioner of baseball, who's obviously smarter than Rob Manfred. You're not booing Ronald McDonald.
You don't think so?
Nah. No. Grimace, that's a different story. Can't trust him.
Grimace gets a bad rap for those shakes. That's not Grimace.
See, I'm not.
Don't put that on. It was his birthday, man.
Who?
Grimace?
You know, if you want to say, hey Jake,
the Grimace shakes.
Here's a purple snow cone. Hey Jake, here's some grapes. Hey Jake, here's some blueberries that aren't really blue but are somewhat purple. I believe that, but I don't want purple milkshake.
I've never had a purple milkshake.
It just doesn't go.
It's called
right.
the Grimace.
It's
the
like
Grimace
green.
shake, yeah.
It's like lime green milkshakes. Even though, look, a key lime pie milkshake, I'd much rather have that than whatever the hell's in a Grimace shake. But like mint chocolate chip green, which is a different green, that's kind of a different story. But purple, man, it's just off-putting. I'm not trying to drink purple milkshake. Now, I love some grape juice. Welch's grape juice?
So is it purple or green?
It's purple.
Purple. The Grimace shake?
Grimace was purple. So
Wasn't it all
Which one was
June?
green?
Huh?
I thought you said it was green.
No, I'm talking about like green is kind of the second most off-putting to me, but purple's way off-putting.
All right, let's go to What's What. He says, can't wait for LSU and Bama to both falter this season.
Really?
Goodness great. I mean,
And
what's
then what?
falter?
Then what? The asteroid hits?
What's falter?
What? Yeah, I need to know what falters. Is it 9-3? I wouldn't say that's faltering for LSU, because I mean LSU was what 9-4 last year, 10-4 after the bowl game. I believe that's right.
All right, you got a question. Do you think TCU is getting slept on this year?
No, I mean look at what they lost. I think sometimes and again, every year is circumstantial. I will keep saying this. Good teams lose a lot of players and have some unknown guys to replace them. Maybe those players end up being good. A lot of times we don't know. But TCU lost their quarterback. They lost their best skill players, wide receivers and running backs included. I would say, even though Chandler Morris got hurt, he did beat Max for the job. Max at the end of the year was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I know they got absolutely throttled by Georgia, But I would take Max over Chandler Morris. I would. If Max could come back, Max would be starting this year. He'd be the starting quarterback at TCU. Up front, I think TCU lost a decent. I know they returned some. They lost a decent amount. I just feel like TCU snuck people last year. What, 9 one-possession games, you said?
Yeah.
It's not happening again. It's not happening again. I don't think they're going to start just go out there and beating everybody's ass. I don't think so.
All right, let's go to Stephen Moore, the man who's always right. Michigan has won the last 2 Joe Moore Awards for the top offensive line. Which team wins it this year?
Michigan.
Let's go 3 in a row.
I mean, you got 7 guys, as I mentioned, that may get drafted. Cone can speak to this better than anybody.
Let's 3-peat that thing.
I mean, what would be the closest team? Georgia?
Georgia.
You know what? Why don't we trade this year? Georgia can win the Joe Moore Award.
And y'all win the
Michigan
Natty?
win the national championship.
Yeah.
Then everybody's winning everything, you know.
I'm so interested to see who you pick to win the Natty. Because I think this is one of those internal battles where are you wanting, you do a sports show for a living, so if you really believe Michigan's going to win it and you pick them, you want to be right, you want to go with your gut, right? Go with your instinct, but then you played at Michigan. You love Michigan. And we all know that if you pick your own team to win it, I would never pick Auburn to win it. I would never pick Auburn to win it. Because I would rather be wrong and Auburn win it than be right and Auburn lose it.
We'll find out next week.
God, I can't
Find out next week.
Go to Ryan Gade, $5 donation. Appreciate it, Ryan. After his career is over, Mahomes will overtake Brady as the GOAT. Punt or go?
I'm going to go. Not even 28 yet.
I could go for that because I think there will also be recency bias whenever if he plays for a long time. Look, he needs to get a lot of years under him, but there will also be recency bias in a new generation and combined with what he's able to do athletically.
Well, yeah, what if he wins 5? What if he's like 1 Super Bowl less than Tom Brady, but he was just more fun to watch?
I've said this about the Michael Jordan argument for a long time. It's not just about who has won the most championships, right? Or else we would just always say Bill Russell and some of those guys from back in the day were always better basketball players than Michael Jordan. But I don't think that's the case. You have to it's a holistic approach to this. Mm-hmm. So Patrick Mahomes is not winning more Super Bowls than Tom Brady. I just don't see it happening. Like, Tom Brady's won more Super Bowls than any one single franchise in a game. That's insane. So I'll sell that. But if he gets to 5, that's so many combined with what. Plus, the game is, you say it all the time, offenses are beneficiaries of rule changes more than the defense, time and time again. That's only going to continue. So I think Patrick Mahomes is going to continue to throw for a lot of yards, may pass Tom Brady in the yardage, maybe in touchdowns. You combine all those factors, you could be looking at a situation where he's looked at as the greatest.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the team they won it with last year. I mean, it's crazy.
All right, let's go to Bailey with a $2 donation. Thank you, Bailey. Says, my bro loves this show. I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. We'll tell your brother appreciate
Bailey,
it. I hope you love the show.
We hope you love it too, Bailey.
Let's go to USA Out. He says, Blaine, how's that Yankees-Braves game last night?
Haha.
Get out.
Where are you?
Get out. Well, the thing about it was like,
I'm so sorry.
I wish nothing but terrible.
Oh, you didn't think it was going to happen?
Yeah. How's that feel?
Yeah. I'm not mad. You know why I'm not mad?
Oh, you're not mad at all, I can tell.
You want to get out of this funk, Yankees? You want to get out of it? You know how to get out of it.
Yeah, it's one apology away.
Yeah, I mean, your one tweet, 117-second video from getting out of this, you'd be amazed. If you apologize, winning streak.
Good karma. It's like a cloud hanging over them right now.
It is. The Blaine cloud.
That's not a cloud.
It's a dragon.
It's a dragon? Oh, boy.
It's got Justin Decker. If Michigan doesn't win the Natty, it is more of a failure on Harbaugh than any other year he's been at Michigan.
Yes, I agree with that. But then you have to look at the team that he's assembled is also to his credit. So, the expectation is there because Jim Harbaugh's done a great job at some aspects. But then if he fails to win the big game and goes, it'd be 1-7 in bowl games, postseason games, then a lot of questions get asked too,
I can't wait. That Michigan versus Georgia game, if they ended up meeting in the Natty, the physicality up front of that game, it's going to be like just watching Jurassic Park. It's going to be incredible. All right, let's get to the poll.
All right, poll. Is Alabama ranked too high?
In the AP poll, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say people said no.
You don't think so? All the Alabama hate around the world?
Bama. No, they'll convene in the chat. I'm going to say they said no, 54%.
Now you got me second guessing. They ranked too high. They were at 3.
Better than first?
Yes. They all hate Alabama.
So you're just, okay.
51%.
All right. Yes.
51.
59.
Let's go.
Wow. Okay.
No.
It continues.
41%.
Okay.
Wow.
Thought they might squat up. That Boost Club shop their feet good today?
We got them going. We got them going.
We're
Good.
running. We're not no gas.
We're finishing practice. I like the way we finish practice.
I like that.
All right? I like the way we
Good.
finish practice.
Make sure you subscribe. Shout out to Brandon Marcello. We got Tim Brando on tomorrow. Tell us what you think about the Crain and Company's certified top 25. Certified by who? Everyone. And like the chances of USC's defense being that much better.
I appreciate you not talking about the Yankees on that one. Awesome. Thank you.
And the Yankees. Well, I don't want to jinx this bet tonight. The chances of USC's defense being better. Sorry, Brandon. We're gone.